Universities are telling professors you need to make all of your digital content accessible, and we're not going to help you with it. That is the takeaway from the Reddit thread that is on the screen with me, and we're going to get to my commentary in a moment. But before we do, this is completely unfair to the professors, and this is the universities taking their responsibility and redirecting it to the professors. So yes, the professors can learn about accessibility and start implementing accessibility measures into their content creation process. But ultimately, this is the university's responsibility. So let's go ahead and read through this original post, and then we're going to read through several comments, and then I will add my commentary. Today, during a faculty meeting, I learned about the DOJ. I learned that the DOJ updated Title II requirements, and then it continues on. I then was given a list of content that must be made accessible, including all PowerPoints, and then there is emails, and there's Word documents, and video, and multimedia. And so I'm skipping around in these comments just to avoid going through some redundant information. But the point here is that the professor was given a list of content that they need to make accessible, and then this original poster asks, what are all of you doing about this? Any tips, tricks, or insights you can share? This feels so daunting to me and my team because we teach AP with an image-heavy lab. All right, so let's go ahead, and before I start adding commentary, let's go ahead and read through the first reply. And by the way, this is recent. The original post was from 3 months ago, and some of the comments are even they're much more recent. So one comment writes, yeah, the university was very threatening about it and offered no help. I spent very many hours updating my PowerPoint syllabi and worksheets. Checked alt text for images, used the slide format with a title so that it will have a heading for screen readers, and so on. They tried to say I had to do it by hand, and I was like, you can't sue me for making a mistake. It's good enough. So that's one point I wanted to add here. Is like these professors are learning about content accessibility really as they're going. So there are bound to be accessibility issues, but again, this isn't the professor's fault. They're doing the best they can. And like this professor said, these are additional hours that they are losing for no other reason than the university is refusing to help with this. So this isn't something that should be just squarely put on the professors, which it reads like the universities are doing. Um, and this person writes, I feel like this labor was only done by me and one other faculty in my department. So again, just unfairly burdening certain professors with this work. And then someone replied to this, yeah, I was stressed so much about making my course compliant. I did all my own captions. Unfortunately, auto captions are bad in my area. That's me paraphrasing. Then I took a course from another professor and they didn't even have auto captions on their videos. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of accessibility issues that are still remaining. This is something that's being thrown together really fast. The professors, not the accessibility professors, the professors are doing the best they can. So this is just completely unfair. And we have another comment. Quote, we'd love to help, but we just don't have the funding. So this is all 100% on the faculty to figure out and comply with. And then the person writes, quote, cool, we'll all be removing every resource we've created for our students from Canvas. And then that was the end quote. And it says, this was at the beginning of semester meeting. Yeah, so the universities are going to have to figure out a way to come up with the funding is what this comes down to. This is not on the professors. This is an additional requirement that is made of the instrumentalities of state and local governments, and that's going to include public entities like these universities, and it is on them to come up with the funding. You can't simply shrug your shoulders and say, well, it's up to the faculty to figure out, because what needs to happen here is for these universities that are not even shying away from their responsibilities, but really just redirecting them, is they need to be penalized so that they can figure out a way to come up with the funding. All right, so let's read through some comments to that comment I just read. This was it. I have students who ask for my PowerPoint files, and I have to say, no, sorry, no, the publisher doesn't offer alt text, and I cannot do it, so I cannot offer it to you. Yeah, so that's what's going to end up happening is a lot of resources will be they will be removed because the professors aren't going to want to take on this additional work. And then so let's just skip on down. We're just going to keep skipping on down so I can get some of the more unique comments. It's an issue if you are a music professor. Music notation is not accessible, so any handouts or assignments I post on Canvas come back with a low accessibility warning. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's going to be difficulties. Again, these are professors are trying to do the best they can, and so accessibility can be especially difficult in certain circumstances. So again, this is something where you need expertise. You need to source to outside services. It's not as simple as just telling your professors, "Hey, learn about accessibility because you need to make your content accessible." Another comment, we were working on this for an AP course I taught while I was adjuncting, sat through an online workshop where a big focus was alt text, only to discover that the quote unquote accessibility experts had no ideas or advice for anatomy slash bio diagrams, which can be very dense. I think the department ended up paying someone to spend their entire semester writing up alt text for anatomy model images, as there was a vision impaired student that could not take the course. It takes paragraphs to give all of the relevant information for a single image. So here, the original poster asked for tips and tricks. Here, just you're going to want to rely on artificial intelligence. So the obvious answer here would be ChatGPT. With a paid version of ChatGPT, you can upload images and it produces very nice alternative text. Just review the alternative text and then make sure it aligns with the image. And that's going to take care of a lot of this work. So a $20 subscription to ChatGPT Plus will go a long, long way. Let's just continue on. I like this comment. It's not on you as an individual to comply with the ADA requirements. It's on the university. Yes, universities have to embrace this. You can't be the university, collect all of the money, and then when it's time for you to meet all of the various compliance requirements, then you dish that off to the professors. No, you need to be there for the difficult stuff. You can't just be there to collect the money. And this is part of the reason why you make so much money as a university. Um, let's continue on. And let's see. There's a comment. Great. Here's the material to send to the disability services or whichever office deals with accommodations, so they can comply with these requirements. Since dealing with ADA issues is their job. And then a person underneath writes, the goated response right here. In my school, disability services loves to crack the whip on us. Petty little martinets acting like they're doing God's work, keeping us monsters in line, like we didn't go into this because we want students to learn. Yeah, so the responsibilities have to be appropriately delegated. And it's not as simple as you are the professor, you're uploading the content, so you're responsible for all of this. The professors did not sign up to be accessibility experts. Now, yes, the professors can learn about accessibility and they can make some adjustments to the way that they create content, but this is not a matter of, well, you do everything. Professors need to be compensated in some way because now they're taking on additional responsibility. So that's one thing that's important about accessibility to keep in mind is there is additional work. This is a specialized subset of knowledge. So it's not a matter of someone just absorbing all of the responsibility. Here, I think the universities should provide training, but they should also provide templates, and they should also provide ways to shortcut the accessibility process. So I think templates will go a long way. And then of course, the university should be keeping in mind, but I'm sure there are many universities that are neglecting to think about this, that their LMS provider, so where their courses are hosted, the platform that they are using also needs to be made accessible. Content accessibility is just one part of accessibility. We also need to make sure that are under the platforms that are hosting the content that students are accessing need to be made accessible. So I think a lot of universities are going to overlook this. They're just going to go directly to the PDFs, the PowerPoints, etc. But the universities also need to be aware of the back end, and they also need to provide support for the content. One commenter writes, "My DS director absolved himself from doing anything to help us become compliant. He loves to advocate for disabled students, but when it's time to work, he become a giant dust cloud." So yeah, we've seen this a lot. We see this with the corporations where they want to have these campaigns that they care so much about diversity and inclusion, but yet when you go to their website, there are obvious accessibility issues right on the website. So it's like, okay, well, we see that you've made a commercial, but have you actually put in the work that is needed to back up what you're saying that you are committed to diversity and inclusion? Let's see. So I'll just read a few more comments. Let's see here. "I am a quality matters reviewer and review online courses. My number one pet peeve is when I'm reviewing a course that has 0 images and 0 documents. This is an indicator that particular institutions give faculty no support to make documents accessible, which is required in a quality matters review." And so it continues on, but yes, that's what I was getting at. Support is necessary. This is not something that, even if it's simple, even if it's easy, right? Like alternative text, not very difficult. But when we start stacking up the images together and combining them, and we've got hundreds of images across, let's say it's a lesson, whatever it would be, then it's going to take a significant amount of work to have descriptive alternative text for all of those images. So again, it's not something that you can simply delegate away. It's something where you're going to work together. You're going to help professors understand what they need to do. You help professors understand the processes, and then also provide templates that can help with the processes. So document templates, PowerPoint templates. Tell them, this is what you need to do. All you need to do is switch these things out on this PowerPoint document, etc. So there are ways that even with the content creation process, the universities can help. But it's not as simple as saying, we have this new mandate. Now there's a new rule to Title II that updates Title II of the ADA, and you're responsible for it. It's not that simple. You have to provide support here, and you can't simply add to the professors already what are likely significant responsibilities that they have on their own. This is not something that is simply absorbed by the professors. This is something where the funding needs to come from the ultimately responsible party, which in this case is the university. So I will link to this Reddit thread in the description. I will also link to my WCAG course. The WCAG course is going to provide really just a plain English explanation of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. There, you can learn more about the nuances of making content accessible. I'm also working on other course material to help with ADA Title II compliance with respect to digital accessibility. So when I have an update there, that link will also be included in the description for this video.